Hey, the ugly ones count too.
Hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work, work. There you go. Hard work, work. Everybody doing it right. Hard work, work, work. That's what you say. Hard work, work, work. Earn more pay. Hard work, work. Hard work. Do it every day. Hard work, work. Get up out of quarter to three. Hard work, work. Let it go and earn more pay. Hard work, work. Boots on and lace.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? You're tuning to the Sports Talk with Big Sarge show. I'm your host, Big Sarge. Make sure you follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter at Big Sarge Sports with the Z at the end. Make sure you follow me on the Tick and the Talk at Big Sarge Media. And make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel at Big Sarge Media. Reading all my articles at www.bigsargemedia.com. Listen, it's happy hour, right? It's happy hour. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. And I apologize because normally we would have done this show earlier. Normally I would have had a morning show for you all. And that way, we wouldn't be getting to some of the stuff that we're going to get to now, which you've probably heard. A lot of people talk about it, but you ain't heard Big Sarge talk about it. You ain't heard it from Big Sarge's perspective. You haven't heard it from Big Sarge himself. So there's going to be some things that I'm going to talk about that's going to seem like it's going to touch on some of the things that these other people have talked about, but it's going to be totally different. I want to give a shout out to Randy McAvoy over at KPRC2 Houston for having me on this morning on his live show. I was joined with him, Chancellor Johnson, and their Texans insider, Aaron Wilson. Hey, Aaron! Happy birthday, my guy. Today is Aaron Wilson's birthday. And if you don't follow him, then you need to be following Aaron Wilson NFL because, hey, that guy right there, he lives, sleeps, eats, poops the NFL. All things NFL. And if you're looking for a Texans insider that's going to have all of the information that you're looking for, all of the breaking news and things like that, make sure you're following Aaron Wilson. I think it's Aaron Wilson NFL. Listen, if you're looking for breaking news, I'm not gonna. I ain't your guy. I'm not. Do I know a lot of things? Of course. Am I told a lot of things? Of course. But you see this? See this right here? This ain't donut residue. This is gray hair. I'm old, and I'm not trying to get older. Breaking news makes you older. See, look, I still got a hairline. I got a couple of grays. I need to brush my hair. Of course, I got a couple of grays in there. Hold on. I should have got my brush because the waves be popping down. Hey, listen. Hey, y'all remember when President Obama first got elected and how good he looked? And then after 8 years of being in the White House, did you see how he looked? That man aged. And that's what breaking news will do to you. It will age you. So I leave that stuff up to Aaron Wilson. I leave that stuff up to DJ Bieniemy from ESPN. I leave that stuff up to Jonathan M. Alexander from the Houston Chronicle. I leave it up to those guys to do that. And I just be like, if I know it, I know it. That's just entirely too much for me. So Aaron, my guy, by the way, I'm going to have Aaron on the show this week. Aaron Wilson will be joining me later on this week to talk some Houston Texans football as they head to Minnesota to face the 2-0 Minnesota Vikings. Hold on, listen, before we jump into this game for last night, raise your hand if you thought that the Minnesota Vikings without J.J. McCarthy would be 2-0. Yeah, don't worry. Hey, drop them in the comments. Hold on, let me make sure I got these things going. Yeah, drop it in the comments if you thought that the Minnesota Vikings was going to be 2-0. I expected the Houston Texans to be 2-0. I did not expect the Sam Darnold-led team to be 2-0. The defense looks good. Defense looks really good. And so I'll have Aaron Wilson on to talk about the matchup with the Minnesota Vikings. On Tuesday's show, I have Houston Texans beat writer for ESPN, DJ Bieniemy, coming on. And if you know anything about me and DJ, right? I just seen DJ down at the press conference. We were at Texas head coach D'Amico Ryan's press conference, and afterwards we got to talking. So this is the thing between DJ and I. We bump heads a lot. Healthy bump heads. Now there's one time where he got a little heated, but DJ and I bump heads. DJ is very analytical. I'm very eye test. I'm eye test. DJ is analytical, and so we butt heads a lot on that. But we always agree to disagree. And so, but DJ is one of the best football minds I've ever met. He is one of the best football minds I have ever met. And oh my God, I call him, he like the NFL Rain Man. He can recall. Me and DJ was talking today, and he started recalling things, and I was like, DJ, how do you remember that? He just loves the game of football. So I will have DJ Bieniemy on Tuesday's show. All right, let's jump right into this thing, right? So you see what I said, right? The ugly ones count too. On Sunday night football, prime time, the Houston Texans defeated the Chicago Bears by a score of 19-13. Okay, let's just go ahead and jump right into this thing with the offense. The offense did not look good. They did not look good, right? They looked okay, but with the weapons that they have, they need to look great. With the weapons that they have, they can't keep looking okay. But I will say this, you got to give them time. You got to give them time. It's only week 2, so you give them some time to still get themselves together. Think about it. In all honesty, CJ got like 3 new players on the offense. He got to learn to play with Stephon Diggs in real time. He has to learn to play with Joe Mixon in real time. And he has to get himself reacclimated to playing with Tank Dell in real time. So these first 2 weeks, it has looked as if they're trying to get on the same page. It also looks as if Bobby Slowick, the offensive coordinator for the Houston Texans, is trying to figure it out himself. Because it's one thing to have all those weapons when you look at it on paper. Then you say, okay, we're going to go to the practice field. Now training camp, you're looking at all these weapons. That's cool. You're going against your own defense. You're implementing the playbook. You're putting in plays, and then you have to go play the game. And once you get out there and you start playing the real game, now you're matching wits and matching minds against defensive coordinators. You're matching wits against some of the best defensive players in the game. And so when you're doing that, right, it takes a little time for him to get acclimated as well to put this thing together, to know, okay, call this play, this play, this play, this play. And so the first 2 games, what we've seen is the Houston Texans offense trying to get it together. Because when you have that many weapons on the field at one time, you're trying to satisfy everybody while trying to move the ball, while trying to score. And, I mean, the Colts don't have a bad defense. They got a bad run defense, though. Hold on. Side note. Because the way that the Packers ran through them on Sunday. The Packers ran through them on Sunday. Joe Mixon ran through them the previous Sunday. And it's weird because they have a really good defense. And then you look at the Bears, and the Bears have a really good defense too. We'll talk about their defense in just a second. But so what I'm seeing is that offensive coordinator Bobby Slowick, CJ Stroud are trying to say, okay, this is what we need to do. We have the weapons. Now we just need to call the plays. We need to call the right plays. They don't try to force feed the ball to any player. They don't. He throws the ball to whoever's open. And so, and it's looked a little shaky. It's looked a little rocky in the first 2 games. And the only staple that they've had has been Nico Collins. And we'll get to Nico in just a second. So CJ Stroud finished 23 of 36, 260 yards passing, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. He was pressured 12 times and was sacked 3 times. And you look at that game and you look at those stats and you say, okay, it's not a bad game. Not a bad game for a quarterback like CJ Stroud until you start to break some of these things down. The Houston Texans had 27 total yards in the third quarter. The first half, they looked great. The second half, it looked like they was just trying to do enough to win the game. Hey, look, I want to do just enough to win the game. And that's what that second half looked like for the Houston Texans, because in the third quarter, CJ was 5 of 11 for 34 yards. In the fourth quarter, he was 4 for 6 for 53 yards. Remember, he had 260 yards total passing, but he only had 87 yards in the second half. Tank Dell, 4 targets, 1 reception, -3 yards. Stephon Diggs, 6 targets, 4 receptions, 37 yards. Still trying to figure it out. And whatever, I don't know what was going on in the second half. It was almost like, the Texans were just trying to hold on long enough to survive. Now, with that being said, side note, they had 12 penalties for 115 yards. That just ain't gonna fly in the house of D'Amico. And every time he talked about it, you could look at in his face. Even today, as we spoke with him, even today, when he had to talk about the penalties, you could just see his face cringe up, because when you get those type of penalties, right? When you're getting penalties, and you're getting penalties at the wrong time, taking away big plays. That pass interference that was called on Kalen Bullock at the end, close to the end of the second quarter, that ended up resulting in a touchdown for the Chicago Bears. That's a touchy play. It's a touchy pass interference play, but they got it. That's one. What should have been Kamari Lassiter's first interception got taken away because of a touchy holding call, I think it was, on Henry To'oTo'o. You look at the 59-yard field goal. Should have been 54, but they called Laramie Tunsil for false start. The hands to the face from Titus Howard on the defensive end that wiped out a 19-yard pass play from Stroud to Nico Collins. Now, side note, is it just me? And I know the answer to this, but is it just me? Or did it look like that was a little bit fishy, though? Because before Titus could really put the impact on him, his helmet flew off. And I'm saying to myself, hey, man, was that a helmet even strapped on? Like, that's one of the little tricks of the trade, right? One of the little tricks of the trade. Like, hey, I'm not going to snap this thing on all the way. When it hit me, it's going to fly off. They're going to call hands to the face. So I'm saying to myself, But there was too many big penalties at the wrong times for the Houston Texans. And 115 penalty yards is just unacceptable. That looks like, heck, that's what the Cowboys be looking like. Side note. Hey, Jerry. Why Mike Zimmer, my guy? Why Mike Zimmer? Why? Did you not know what his defense was ranked the last 2 years? Why, my guy? Why him? Cowboys looked atrocious yesterday. Shout out to the New Orleans Saints. They look good. Coming into the season, I didn't think that they were going to look that good. I had the Atlanta Falcons winning that. Atlanta Falcons winning the NFC South. But now, looking at the way that the New Orleans Saints are playing, looking at the way that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are playing, and the Saints look good. Is it Clint Kubiak, right? It's like that Kubiak. Man, how deep is that Shanahan and that Kubiak tree? That thing got a lot of branches on it. Just got a whole bunch of branches on it. I digress. Too many big penalties at the wrong time. And so that offense did not look, the offense didn't look consistent. That's the word that I'm looking for. That offense did not look consistent on Sunday nights. It looked as if in spurts. And you need that offense to be consistent. You don't need them to do this in spurts. Now, I get it. Hey, Cam Akers, the fumble was unfortunate. Because if he scores that, we're not even talking about how close this game is as far as the score is concerned. Right? I mean, the Texans only gave up 205 total yards to the Bears. The game shouldn't have been this close. That big play at the end of the first half kept them in it, got a score, gave them some type of momentum until the defense came and shut them down. We'll talk about the defense in just a second. But the only consistent thing, there's been 2 consistent things when it comes to the Houston Texans. When it comes to the Houston Texans scoring the ball, 1, Kaimi Fairbairn, the kicker, Listen, I said this in my post game recap. Make sure you go over to my YouTube channel and watch that. I said this in my post game recap. D'Amico said it. I'll say it again. It's time to give this man some respect. He's been nothing but consistent over the last couple of years. And we start looking at kickers, and we look at all the other kickers, but you never put Kaimi Fairbairn into that equation. He's just as consistent as a lot of these. Like, look, I put it like this: when you look at the Kansas City Chiefs kicker Harrison Butker, right? You almost feel like, hey, that's Mr. Automatic right there. He was not gonna miss, right? When you look at the Cowboys kicker, I can't think of his name right now, but I mean, they talk a lot about him. Kaimi Fairbairn, I mean, and you've heard this repeated on numerous occasions. D'Amico repeated it twice. He repeated it last night. He repeated it today as he called Kaimi Fairbairn the MVP. You've heard it all on the radio, social media, everything. Yes, the 6 kicks for 50 plus yards to start off the season in the first 2 games. That's amazing. But what you don't realize is, Brandon Aubrey. Okay, appreciate that, Arlington. But what people don't realize is that when your offense is not as consistent as it needs to be, you need to have that kicker that you can lean on, because sometimes you'll take that field goal just to reset yourself. All right, look, the offense kind of stalled right here. Well, let's take this 3 points, come back, see what we did wrong, and see if we can get back on the field and maybe score a touchdown. And so, but Kaimi has been one of those. He's been very, very solid for the Houston Texans. The second thing is Nico Collins. Now, I said it last week. I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to say it again. Side note. So when I was on with Randy Chancellor and Aaron this morning on KPRC2 Houston, I told them a story, right? So I'm gonna tell you a quick little story, right? Story time with Big Sarge. So 2 years ago, was it 2 years ago? 2, maybe 3 years ago. Hold on, give me a second. I gotta look at something right quick. Where is my? Because I want to make sure I got this right. Excuse me for 1 second. Let me get my roster. Roster 12. Nico Collins. This is his 4th year in the league. 2 years ago. 2 years ago, Nico Collins had his season cut short because of an injury. And I think that he missed the last 5 games, if I'm not mistaken. I have to go back and look. But Nico missed. You know what? Y'all give me a second, because this is the happy hour with Big Sarge. And I don't want to lead y'all wrong. So I want to make sure that I always have the most accurate information, because that's what you all deserve. So give me 1 second. Let me look at what Nico did. So, yes, 2022. That's when it was. Give me a second. Yep, 2022. Right, 2 years ago. So in totality, he missed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He missed 7 games. He missed the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He was inactive. Then they just went ahead and put him on injured reserve. And so in 2022, Nico missed a total of 7 games. He missed the last 5 games, and they put him on injured reserve to end this season. And so that was only Nico's 2nd year in the league, and there was a lot of chatter going on the internet, right? Now, side note, this is why, right? What I'm about to tell you all, because I got some other stuff that I'm going to tell you that you can only get right here on Sports Talk with Big Sarge, because, hey, no knocking other people, but, you get exclusive content for real right here. So 2 years ago, Nico's season ended early, right? People start calling him a bust. Hey, man, why did the Houston Texans waste a draft pick on Nico Collins? He looks, I'm pretty sure he's talented, but he's not going to equate to anything. Nothing. He's a bust. Nico heard all of that. Nico read all of that, right? And so it was the end of the season. It was the last time we were going to be in the locker room before they headed into the offseason. So they're in there getting their stuff together. They're in there getting all of their stuff, cleaning out their lockers, going through their checks, making sure that, hey, look, I got to go through this stage, make sure everything is okay. So it's going to be the last time that they were going to be in the building as far as the locker room is concerned. So we're in there and they're cleaning out their stuff, and Nico comes to his locker. Now, mind you, I have talked to Nico. I've been talking to Nico since his rookie year, right? Since Nico got here, Nico has been my guy. And I talked to him just about any and everything. So Nico's cleaning out his locker. Nico says to me, hey, Sarge, I'm going to prove him wrong. I'm going to show him who I really am. He was like, I'm going to show them exactly who I am. And I said, no, I believe you, Nico. I believe you. Then you're going to have to get somebody else that's going to throw you the ball, which, if you know the way that the 2022 season ended for the Houston Texans, you knew they were going to get one or two quarterbacks. They were either going to get Bryce Young or they were going to get CJ Stroud. Side note, before I finish telling y'all this story about Nico, we're going to get back. Hey, look, let me write that down. Y'all remind me. So put it in the comments right now. Say, Sarge, don't forget to talk about Bryce Young. So Nico knew that he was going to get either a Heisman Trophy winner or a two-time Heisman Trophy finalist. He knew that there was going to be a quarterback coming in, and he said, hey, Sarge, I'm going to show you. Now, he didn't say any derogatory comments. He didn't make any derogatory statements. He did not criticize Davis Mills, not one time. He did not say that at all. What he said was, Sarge, I'm going to show them. That's all he said. Sarge, I'm going to show them. That's all he said. Let's look at what did Nico end 2023 with? 1,297 yards receiving, 8 touchdowns, 80 receptions, 1,297 yards, and he missed 2 games. If he hadn't missed those 2 games, Nico probably would have been a 1,500-yard receiver with probably about 12 touchdowns. What did he do? Hey, Sarge, I'm going to show him. I'm going to show him. I'm going to show him exactly who I am. They don't know, but I'm going to show him. I said, no, Nico. Hey, bro, I believe you. I believe you. Looking at all the tools and the attributes that you have at the wide receiver position, I know that you love to be physical. That I know. You love to be physical. You have a large catch radius, huge. Ain't too many passes gonna get away from Nico. If a pass get away from Nico in his catch radius, then he just missed it, or it was a badly thrown pass. But he has a huge catch radius. He wants to catch. He wants to inflict pain. So he knows that the only way that he's going to be able to inflict pain on the defensive back is he got to catch the ball first. And in the first 2 games, Nico caught first 2 games of this season. Oh, let's not forget. Hold on. I can't forget that in the postseason, he had 96 yards. Well, hold on. Y'all remember the 195-yard performance that he had to put the Houston Texans into the playoffs on last year, put them into the postseason, right? And then against the Browns, he had 96 yards receiving. Against the Ravens, he had 68 yards receiving. But, to start off this season, hold on. What am I looking for? And how come I don't have Nico's 2021, 2023, 2024? There we go. Nico Collins' first 2 games. And I knew this off the top of my head, but I just want to make sure that I gave it to you all the right way. 14 receptions, 252 yards receiving, and 1 touchdown. Nico Collins has been one of the staples in this offense. And I like that. And I'm going to tell you why I like that. And I'm going to tell you why it's good for the Houston Texans offense, because the way that Nico's playing, right, he's going to force defensive coordinators to roll the coverage over to him. Because you're looking at it now, they're trying to play them straight up. And so they're trying to play Tank straight up, Diggs straight up, Nico straight up. But eventually, they're going to have to roll the coverage to Nico. And once they roll that coverage to Nico, that's going to leave a lot of room for Tank to operate, a lot of room for Stephon Diggs to operate, and a lot of room for Dalton Schultz. He is the forgotten person in this thing. And so, Nico Collins, I mean, what more can you say? Side note, it's another thing that I need to tell you all about. So when I got into the locker room last night, I told you all before, you walk in, Nico's locker is right there. So as soon as I walked in, I looked at him, he looked at me, and we both started laughing. And the reason we started laughing because I knew that I was going to talk about the him and Tyreek Stevenson going at each other, and he knew that he was going to talk about Tyreek Stevenson, right? And I said, Nico, he said, bruh, they don't understand. I play big boy football. This is exactly what he said. He said, Sarge, they don't know. I play big boy football. You all heard the clips last week when he was mic'd up. What did he say? I'll go to the weight room. So what did they do? They pissed him off. Pissed him off with that flag. And I had seen, I think I tweeted this out during the game after the flag. I was like, hey, these two been going at it this whole first quarter. And so when I talked to Nico about it, he said, yeah, there was some talking going back and forth. Now I'm not going to tell you what was said, but he said there was some talking going back and forth. And he said after he tried to poke me in the eye with his finger, put his finger, excuse me, in my face, I told him, all right. And he said, I went to the ref and he said, I apologize because I know you only seen my reaction. You didn't see what he did. He said, so my bad. So what happened? The start of the second quarter? Bam. And at the end of the play, what did he do? He big boy Jalen Johnson. He big boy. Like what he did to Jalen Johnson at the end of that run is the equivalent to being mushed in the face. He's like, get off me. Get off me. And what did he say? That's big boy football. And so, going into Minnesota, Brian Flores knows how to beat this. This is another thing that DJ and I was talking about, and we'll talk about it on a Tuesday show. DJ was talking about how Brian Flores has beat this type of offense before. So Bobby Slowick is going to have his work cut out for him. All right, let me go ahead and move on a little bit because I told you all, like the Bears have a really good defense. And so what they did was, so the run game was missing that juice. See what I did right there? Hold on, y'all. Wait a minute. I gotta take a drink. This ain't number water. Shout out to Prairie View A&M University. It ain't nothing but water. Run game was missing that juice. So Juice Scruggs, the center for the Houston Texans, was inactive on yesterday, and Jared Patterson was put into the game, and I don't know what happened. I just don't know what happened. Jared Patterson is, and don't get me wrong, he didn't play bad. He didn't play bad. He just wasn't prepared for what that Bears, like the Bears ran a lot of stunts. Like they ran a lot of stunts. Shaq Mason told me after the game, that's the guard for the Houston Texans. Shaq Mason told me, he said, Sarge, it was a bunch of mess. And I said, what do you mean? What do you mean by mess? He said there was a lot of moving going on, a lot of stunts. And he said, and so we had to make sure that we was on our P's and Q's. And he said, so that's why we were trying to, to make sure that we picked up who we needed to pick up. And I think that what the Bears did was, you remember last week against the Indianapolis Colts when DeForest Buckner came from in front of Kenyon Green on the left side, all the way around, wrapped around Titus Howard on the right side, and sacked CJ. They looked at that and they started to try to run those type of things. And so he said that there was just a lot of mess, and you could tell. And so without Juice Scruggs being there, who Kenyon Green has a very good connection with, we talked about that on last week. It was one of those things where you're looking at, and so now they're trying to help Jared Patterson get up to speed, help him, and then there was just a lot going on. And so the run game suffered, and then you had the illegal tackle. Hold on. Hello. Is this thing on? The illegal hip drop tackle on Joe Mixon, because that's exactly what it was. Dear NFL, if you're going to try to clean something up, and I thought that's what you was trying to do. But the run game looked lethargic. It looked lethargic. But the line played well enough. They only allowed 3 sacks. They just needed to make, like I said, they needed to get themselves They needed to get themselves going, and you can tell when that the Bears defensive line was being effective in what they were doing as far as those line stunts was concerned, because the Bears they didn't stack the box. They didn't stack the box. So 6 players or less, they did that 44% of the time. 7 or more players, 33.3% of the time. And the only time they put 8 in the box, they did that 22.2% of the time. And so they weren't stacking the box. Just that run game couldn't get going, and whatever that they were doing up front kind of halted that Texans offensive line, which I know that they'll get themselves together and get it together. I don't know how long Juice Scruggs is going to be out. I don't know if he's playing in Minnesota, but I'm thinking that one game under his belt with the offensive starters, because think about it. That was the first time Jared Patterson had ever played with Kenyon Green. So now they're unfamiliar with each other, and they're trying to work as a unit together, but they've never played with each other. That's why it was so important that Juice and Kenyon worked out together and got themselves on the same page. I know I sound like a broken record, but that's what happens. You get on the same page, you're able to do what you're supposed to do. And so sometimes it looked like Jared Patterson and Kenyon Green was not on the same page. And so they got to get that together, because going into Minnesota, they're going to try to stop the run. They're going to be focused on that. And think about it. Don't forget now, playing against Jonathan Grenard. And I know that doesn't mean a lot to a lot of people, but that means a lot to a lot of people. He's the defensive end for the Minnesota Vikings now. All right, quickly, let me jump over to the defense. Hey, so remember I just got through talking about, you know what? I know what y'all gonna say. Sarge, you be name dropping a lot. So I don't care. So that's why you listen to Sports Talk with Big Sarge. Because guess what? You know why I name drop a lot? You know why I talk to these guys a lot? Because I pride myself on being the eyes and the ears for the Houston Texans fans. I love what I do. I think that I'm very good at my job. There's a lot of you all who wants to know what's going on, and you're not get. Sometimes you don't get all of the information. Sometimes you don't get all of the inside information on what these guys are thinking. On this play, that play, what they're you don't get that. And so I got to be the eyes and the ears for y'all, so I can come back and report it, because you need to know. I digress. Linebacker Henry Toa. There's a certain person out there that calls him Henry Noah. Yeah, pretty sure on that all 22 on tomorrow, you're going to eat those words, aren't you, my guy? I can't wait. I'm going to be watching, and I'm going to be commenting, and I'm going to say, I told you so. Because when I was on y'all podcast, I said, hey, brother, just give him time. I know he was only a rookie last year. He was a rookie. He was out of place a lot. He said he didn't know how to tackle. He was heavy. He just told me that last week. He said, Sarge, I had to lose the weight, because if I didn't lose the weight, I wasn't going to be able to play. He said, in this defense, you have to be quick, agile, mobile, hostile. Like D'Amico is old school. What is it? Agile, hostile, mobile. I don't know, not in that order, but you have to be. And if you're not, if you can't move in this defense, which is the swarm mentality, you're not going to be able to play. That's why he had to drop the weight in order to become more mobile. And when they get Christian Harris back, and the way that he plays and the way he flies around the field, that's why it's so good that Henry is getting all of these reps, and he's getting all these reps with Azeez Al-Shaair. And then we'll talk about that in just a second. But Henry was the leading tackler. He had 13 tackles, 1 sack, 2 quarterback pressure, 3 run stuffs. Now, one thing that I'm going to need Henry to work on, and he knows this as well, is he has to get better in pass coverage. He was targeted 3 times. He had for 3 receptions, 16 yards. That may not seem like a lot, but if you can cut that down to being targeted 3 times and only giving up 1 reception, if that 1 reception maybe 7 yards, then you're doing well. And so Henry is oh, 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 oh. Hello, AD. How are you doing? You came at the right time, AD. For those of y'all who don't know, AD is the host of the H Town Rundown. I got that right, right? H Town Rundown? I hope I got that right. AD, put the name up there, man, so I can share it. They do an amazing job, a fantastic job on their podcast. I'm sorry, I had to stop. I got to shout them out because they do a fantastic job. The H Town Rundown. Hey, AD, let me take this down for a second. Came at the right time, I got. Hold on. Here we go, y'all. Here we go. At the H Town Rundown on Tuesday night. I think it's Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. They do their all 22. Amazing. I love being on their podcast. Now I can't do the all 22 because that's just too long for Sarge because he got to get it sleep because he'd be up too early in the morning. But I do love being on their podcast. Hey, AD, you came at the right time. We're talking about Henry Toa, the leading tackler for the Houston Texans, the one that was all over the field on yesterday. You know, that guy. The one that I told you, hey, man, just be patient with him, bro. He's learning. This is only his second year. Just be patient. He needs more reps. And now he's playing with a guy. He's not playing with Blake Cashman anymore. And no shot at, hey, look, nothing against Blake Cashman or Denzel Perryman, but they're not Azeez Al-Shaair. I like both of those players. I like both of them at the linebacker position. Hold on, y'all. Here we go. Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Hold on, let me put that up one more time. H-Town Rundown, Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. You find them. They're on YouTube. They're on the app formerly known as Twitter on X. But what Azeez Al-Shaair is doing for Henry Toa, hey, he is. Hold on. Well, I keep forgetting we don't even have Harris and Archer yet. Is wild. I know, right? I know. And those guys are going to come back with a vengeance. Going to come back with a vengeance. And the guys that you have playing in their place until they get back, you definitely want them to be able to get all of these reps and to get all these reps and do, what he needs to do to take that next step. So, like I said, Henry was the leading tackler with 13 tackles, and he had 1 sack. He was pretty much flying all over the field, and that's the Azeez Al-Shaair effect. That's the Azeez Al-Shaair effect. So in week 1, right, there were some plays that Henry missed, right? There were some plays that Henry missed. Some plays that he was right there, but he missed. He just needed to take a better angle, right? He just needed to take a better angle, right? And so what Azeez did for him was pulled him to the side and they walked through those plays. And he showed him, hey, this is how you could play that better. This is how you could play this play better. Hey, man, take this field of depth, right? Go take this angle and get right here, and you'll watch and you'll see how everything will change. Take this, and you probably can run them back into me. Or in pass coverage, hey, take this angle, and then now you're forcing the quarterback to do this. Like I said, nothing against former Houston Texans linebackers Denzel Perryman or Blake Cashman, but you're not getting that. You're not getting that, and I get it. Blake Cashman was looking for a contract. Denzel Perryman was looking for a contract. Azeez is here. He got his contract. He's going to be here for a while. And so that's what you need. That's what D'Amico means by the quarterback of the defense. That's Azeez, right? Being able to help those players, those young players like a Henry Toa. Hold on, let me see what he said. As I said earlier, I'm so glad I could be the inspiration and influence. That's what I'm doing to you right now, AD. Could be the influence that he needed, the inspiration. All right, Kanye D, Kanye AD. Azeez ended the game with 10 tackles himself, 1 sack. He also was targeted 3 times, 3 receptions, 21 yards. So let's talk about the play on the sideline. Hey, dear Chicago Bears, You don't want your quarterback to be hit? Tell him to go out of bounds earlier. And Aziz is a guy who doesn't want to hurt the quarterback. I have audio. I'm probably going to put that audio out of him saying when he had to go up against Anthony Richardson, he said, one of the first things I told Anthony Richardson, you got to learn how to get down, my guy. He says, my job to hit you. It's my job to hit you. It's my job to hit you and hit you hard. And I will hit you and I will hit you hard. I'm not trying to hurt you. So if you get down, if you slide, I can't hit you. It's against the rules. And I'm not going to hit you. He said he told him the same thing that he told CJ from day one. CJ, listen, from a linebacker's perspective, we want to hit you. We want to hit the quarterback. There's other linebackers on other teams that want to hit you. Get out of bounds or get on the ground. Do not try to be a hero. Live to fight another day. Hey, if you don't want Caleb Williams hit, tell him to go out of bounds earlier. Tell him to slide. Because when you're running to the side like that, right? I've seen it too many times where a defender will ease up because it's the quarterback, and the quarterback will take off, keep running, or let his momentum take him out of bounds and then go. So Aziz didn't do anything wrong except hit Roschon Johnson in the face. He punched him. Pushed the other guy. What was he supposed to do, though? What was he supposed to do? You all seen the video. They had him surrounded. It's nothing but orange jerseys around him and orange jerseys and Chicago Bears personnel. What he supposed to do? Hey, I'm going to take this fine, but I'm going to let y'all know I'm about that action, boss. And if you know anything about Aziz, off the field, one of the coolest people you ever want to meet, one of the coolest people you want to talk to. Like, he just talked to you, hey, man, what's going on? Aziz, blah, 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 cool. When he steps on that field, he's a totally different animal. Yes, SRJ praised dance as he said, help the bear. If you see me and a bear about to fight, help the bear. Exactly what he said. What else are you supposed to do? Yes, he's going to get fined. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows he's going to get fined. Everybody knows that. I don't think he's going to get suspended because of the way that things happen and the way that things transpire. So I don't think he's going to get suspended. He will get a healthy fine because he hit somebody in the face and he hit a player in the helmet and he got the other player up off of him. And if you go back and you look, I don't think that the Houston Texans players thought that it was going to transpire like that. They didn't think it was going to happen like that till it happened like that. And then they said, oh, no, we're not finna let it go down like that. And then what happened after that? They just kept hitting Caleb Williams, kept putting him on his ass. And yes, I said it. The boys had 5 sacks in the second half. 5 sacks. They was on his ass like they should have been. You know what D'Amico said before his press conference? When I was talking to him, I said, hey, coach, turned up the heat a little bit on him in the second half. He said, I had to, Sarge. Couldn't do it in the first half like I wanted to because then they would have went in at halftime and made the adjustment. I don't need them to make the adjustment. I need them. I need to catch them by surprise. I don't need them to know what we're doing. So cool. We played really good, sound defense in the first half. That second half, I said, coach, you had 36 pressures, 36 quarterback pressures. He's like, what? I said, for real? I said, Hunter and Anderson had 17 combined. It's like, what? I said 7 sacks. He said, I knew about the sacks. I didn't know about the quarterback pressures like that, though. He started laughing. We laughed going into the press conference. But what D'Amico did as far as changing up the defense and releasing Will Anderson Jr. and Danielle Hunter, when I tell you that he is Hey, did y'all see what Will did? Will could have killed Caleb Williams when he got him in that sack. He said the only reason that I didn't, he said, because I was watching the Titans game. Who did the Titans play yesterday? The Jets. He said I was watching the Titans game. He said, and one of the players for the Titans, I can't. He said his name, but I can't remember his name. He said that when he came around the end and he hit the quarterback, and the way he hit him good, and they gave him a penalty. And so Will said I couldn't risk the chance of getting a penalty, so I just had to hit him like I hit him. And Will also talked about, because Will ended the game with 4 tackles, 1.5 sacks, 9 quarterback pressures. Hunter ended with 5 tackles, 1.5 sacks, eight quarterback pressures. And what Will said was, I said in the second half, you seem to oh, Jeffrey Simmons. Okay. Thank you, AD. It was Jeffrey Simmons who got that penalty. But Will said, Will, in the second half, it seemed like you got way more aggressive. He said, yeah, because I'm still getting my he said, I'm still, getting my conditioning down coming out of out of training camp. He said, and so in that second half, I got my second win. He said, I finally felt I could feel it. He said I could feel it. And when he could feel it, yeah, y'all know what he can do. I don't have to tell y'all. Y'all know why he was named the 2023 rookie defensive player of the year. Y'all know why. He said I got my second win, Sarge, and I got to going. And he said that another thing that helped him out a lot too was he talked to Daniil Hunter at halftime. And Daniil Hunter told him, hey man, look, that offensive lineman, he's way more tired than you are. Take advantage. He's way more tired than you are. And what they start doing, they damn near met in the backfield every time. And when that pressure started to come from that defensive front seven, when that pressure started to happen, what did it do? It unleashed Stingley to get an interception. It unleashed Kamari Lassiter to get his first NFL career interception. Petrie smashing. Petrie, one of the best things that they could have done for now, and at least in this first 2 games, is put Petrie at that nickel position. And what did I say? Y'all remember when a show that I did a couple of weeks ago, and I said that um the Houston Texans have a 30-day free trial at the linebacker position, waiting on Christian Harris to come back after coming off of IR. Remember I told you all that, and I said, hey, look, Henry To'oTo'o can man that position until he gets back. But if he can't, they got an additional cornerback slash linebacker in Jalen Petrie. He loves roaming around near the line because he loves contact. He don't run from no smoke. So he loves that type of contact. And so that helps out a lot. That helps him a lot. And that helps that defense a lot, because not only are you getting someone that can cover a slot receiver or cover a running back or cover a tight end, you're getting an additional tackler. You're getting an additional, pretty much, additional linebacker close to the line like that. And that allows them to run different types of things. And so, like I said, the ugly ones count too. That win was not pretty. It wasn't, but it's still a win. And just like I said in my post game recap, hey, look, in the win and loss column, they don't count barely wins, almost, they don't count barely won, barely lost, blowout wins, blowout losses. They don't count them. They count wins and losses. And when you look at the win and loss column, the Houston Texans are 2-0. No matter what they did in week 1, no matter what they did in week 2, they're one of the teams in the NFL that's still undefeated after week 2. Point blank, period. Now, side note, before I get ready to get up out of here, because I know y'all trying to watch Monday Night Football. So the Carolina Panthers, right? The Carolina Panthers decided to bench their number 1 overall pick, their first pick in the 2023 NFL draft, quarterback Bryce Young out of Alabama. Right? So I seen that. And so it got me to wondering, it got me to thinking, and then I started to ask some of the people who's so I talked with Jonathan M. Alexander from the Houston Chronicle because he used to be on the Panthers beat. And I talked to DJ Bieniemy from ESPN because he's a football savant and he has inside information. And so, as far as these things that be going on. So I'm talking to both of them, right? And we're just talking about the whole situation and things like that. And so one of the things that perplexes me, right? One of the things that I'm looking at, I'm not saying that Bryce Young was the quarterback that was going to save the Carolina Panthers franchise. I'm not looking at Bryce Young and Cam Newton the same way. I'm not. When Cam Newton was drafted by the Carolina Panthers, you knew, hey, look at what you're getting. You're getting a massive human being who can not only throw the football far, very far, accurate. You're getting someone that can also get out of the pocket and go have a collision with a linebacker who's probably smaller than him. Defensive backs didn't stand a chance. Defensive linemen, okay, they may have been a little bit bigger than Cam Newton as far as heavier, right? But most linebackers, Cam was bigger. All defensive backs, he was bigger than. So when he got out of the pocket and he's running, you're not going to stop him. So no, I'm not looking at Cam Newton and Bryce Young the same. Cam Newton, I knew would be the savior for that Carolina Panthers franchise. Bryce Young, I was like, eh. But I also look at it like this, right? Bryce Young is a smaller quarterback. Bryce Young had pretty much everything when he was at Alabama to be successful. I mean, there's nothing you can't be mad at him for being successful like that because of everything that he had. But when you look at what the Carolina Panthers have done, the Carolina Panthers, in all honesty, is a I look, I don't want to get demonetized on YouTube, and I don't want my mother-in-law to see this and say, why are you using so much profanity? So I'm just gonna say it's a crap show. Yes, they're gonna replace Bryce Young with Andy Dalton. They may be more competitive. They're still gonna be crap. What did you give Bryce Young to make him successful? Not saying that I'm not comparing Bryce Young and CJ Stroud. I'm not. CJ is a way different quarterback than what he's a way different quarterback than what Bryce Young is, and he's bigger. And just like DJ said, the one thing that hinders Bryce Young from being successful is that he's small. He can't see what he needs to see, especially when the pocket is collapsing. And when he's trying to get out, he's still running into the same trouble. He looks like Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams, when he tries to get out, he runs into a lot of stuff. And so I said, yes, I understand that. But when you get rid of DJ Moore, when you get rid of Christian McCaffrey, who was what, the NFL offensive player of the year last year, you get rid of them, right? What do you give him? Okay, so they went out and they got him. What is it? Xavier Leggett? That's the guy that's from South Carolina, right? That's their rookie wide receiver. So they have him, right? Thielen. I remember watching the Houston Texans and the Carolina Panthers play last season, a game that a game that the Texans should have won. What did they lose that game? AD, what they lost that game? 9-6, if I'm not mistaken. So you look at it and you say, man, this team sucks. I'm sorry. The Carolina Panthers are horrible. And so if you want your number one overall pick, quarterback Bryce Young, to be successful, you also got to kind of like set him up to be successful as well. It ain't too many people that can name you 3 offensive players on the Carolina Panthers. You know what? Y'all give me a second before I get up out of here. Let me go take a look. Let me go look at the Carolina Panthers NFC South, bingo. Carolina Panthers, players roster. Let's go to their offense. What? Yeah, I didn't know Mike Boone was over there, former Houston Texans running back. I didn't know he was over there. So I'm looking at their roster right now. We got Deontay Johnson, Chuba Hubbard. Some of these guys I don't even know if they're healthy or not. I'm just looking at the roster right now. Got Xavier Leggett, Jonathan Mingo, Jordan Matthews, Tavion Sanders, Miles Sanders, Messiah, and I'm just naming the skill positions. Messiah Swinson, Adam Thielen, Tommy Tremble. Yeah. Yeah. Looking at this active roster for the Carolina Panthers. I like Xavier Levitt. Deontay Johnson isn't bad. Let me see what Deontay Johnson has. Yeah, he had okay. Not bad. Not good either. And that's not knock on him. I'm just saying, what was Bryce Young supposed to do? What was he supposed to do? And like I said, Bryce Young doesn't have everything that he probably needs to be successful in the NFL because, like, you can't buy height, you can't buy mobility. He is accurate. He has a very nice arm, but he's small, and he doesn't. DJ made this point today. He's not as athletic as you said, Kyler Murray, who is another small quarterback, but can get out of the pocket. He doesn't have the intangibles that Drew Brees has. And so, but you drafted him. You drafted him. And now you're benching him and you're bringing in Andy Dalton. So you, instead of losing 35-14, now you're going to lose 35-21 because you're still going to lose because you don't have a talented roster. And that starts with the GM. It starts with, look, I know they got a new head coach, but we'll see how that plays out. It starts with the owner. The Carolina Panthers have not been good for a very long time. And they're in the NFC South that has the New Orleans Saints, who I talked about earlier. You've seen what they've done. Well, they've scored on every offensive possession that they've had this year, correct? I mean, I don't know. Hell, wait a minute. Yeah, look, I think they just scored on the Cowboys again. I think Alvin Kamara just scored another touchdown again. The New Orleans Saints look good. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers look good. The Atlanta Falcons, I don't know what's going to happen because I don't know what they're going to do at that quarterback position, but they have the talent to be good. Carolina, you're going to get another high draft pick. If you have one. I don't even know if you have one or not. But you don't have a talented roster. And yes, it's easy. It's easy to blame it on Bryce Young. Of course, make Bryce Young the scapegoat. And I mean, rightfully so. He isn't playing up to a number one, a number one overall pick. He's not playing up to their standards. Hold on, H-Town Talk. You just got in here. We are almost about to end the show. You just not getting up in here, and you gonna talk about. Don't worry about it. We'll keep it moving. Oh, 15-13. Thank you, AD. That was the score of the Panthers Texans game last year. So you can blame everything on Bryce Young and then bring in Andy Dalton, but you don't have anything else. Look, the league could say, all right, y'all can take any quarterback y'all want and put him on the Carolina Panthers. So, okay, let's just say, hey, Carolina Panthers take Patrick Mahomes. How much better do they become? And don't worry, I'll wait. I mean, I can't wait too long because my wife is hungry and we got to go eat. You get Patrick Mahomes. You get Joe Burrow. You get CJ Stroud. You get Josh Allen. You get Justin Herbert. You get Jordan Love. Like, Who? You get Lamar Jackson. There's not a quarterback in this league that can go and save the Carolina Panthers. There isn't a quarterback coming out of college next season that can save the Carolina Panthers. There's not a quarterback coming out of the league in the next 3 years that can save that Carolina Panthers franchise. And yet, you're going to keep blaming Bryce Young. Bryce Young didn't do himself any favors by playing the way that he played. Bryce Young didn't do himself any favors by going to the one thing that I can say about Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback Justin Fields, who used to play for the Chicago Bears, no matter what, he was confident at the podium. He didn't care what nobody said about him. He didn't care how nobody criticized him about his play. He didn't care nothing about that. You know what he did? He came to the podium confident. You weren't confident at the podium. And if I was your head coach, I'd probably say, hey, man, who you going to lead? The one thing about being around Houston Texans quarterback C.J. Stroud, it ain't never a time, not a one. There is not one time, no matter what's going on, that C.J. is not confident. Not nothing. Not when they shooting on their little basketball goal that they got in the locker room. Not when he's talking about basketball. Not when he's on a podcast. CJ is all. You look at CJ and you're going to be like, yeah. They got people on this. They got players on that team that say, hey, look, I'm going to follow CJ because CJ is going to lead me to the right place. Bryce, where you going to lead him to? Bible study? Where you going to lead him to? You lost your confidence, bro. When you lose your confidence, you lose the locker room. And if you lose the locker room, now what? You're the quarterback. So, like, no matter what, by default, they're automatically looking at you as a leader. Every quarterback in the NFL right now, their teammates look at them as a leader. Last year, when the Texans played the Bengals and CJ threw that interception and the Bengals went down and scored, you know what CJ came to the sideline and told D'Amico, hey, don't worry about it. I got you, coach. What game was that? Was it the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game? Where I don't remember exactly what happened, but something happened and CJ was like, hey, don't worry about it. I got you. You know what those players in that Texans locker room say? Hey, CJ comes in there and he commands the huddle. He comes in, he commands the huddle. He commands the locker room. And he's not being he's not being overt with it. He's not being braggadocious with it. He's not being sarcastic with it. He's not being conceited. None of that type of stuff. He just has that aura of a leader. One thing that Joe Mixon said that he picked up on instantly as soon as he got to the Houston Texans. And as soon as he met CJ Stroud, he's like, oh, this guy's a leader. You know who else is like that? Joe Burrow, leader. Tom Brady, leader. Patrick Mahomes, leader. These players have to be able to follow you. And if they can't, and if they're looking at you and you say something about faith and you like, my faith is in the Lord, or your confidence, I got confidence in God or something. And ain't nothing wrong with praising, the Lord. Ain't nothing wrong with being strong in your faith. Nothing at all. But you also got to come to the podium and say, hey, no matter what, I'm the quarterback of the Carolina Panthers. And, I take full responsibility on what's going to happen, but I am not going to give up on this team. I'm not going to give up on myself, and I'm going to keep it pushing. You know what Bryce Young should have done? I wanted Bryce ahead of CJ. Hold on. Let me put Larry up there. I wanted Bryce ahead of CJ, but I'm glad it didn't go your way either. You know what they need to do with Bryce Young? Bryce Young, you need to watch some old Florida football footage of Tim Tebow. Because no matter what inconsistencies you thought about, that you could find in Tim Tebow's game on the NFL level. In college, Tim Tebow was the man. And Tim Tebow came to the podium as the man. And Tim Tebow never, even when he was in the NFL, he didn't waver from being, his confidence never wavered. Never, ever, ever wavered. And that's the problem that you are having right now, Bryce Young. Your confidence has wavered. Now, as I digress, you say it one more time. The Carolina Panthers, I don't know if I don't know if the Carolina Panthers can beat Prairie View Panthers right now with the way that roster is set up. They got one or two talented players on the offensive side of the ball, but they ain't scaring nobody. They're not scaring anyone. That roster got like one or two. And so you're saying, hey, y'all remember on the movie Friday when Smokey Mama was sending him to the store to buy some cigarettes, and he was like, this ain't enough. What'd she say? Make it enough. And that's what y'all want Bryce Young to do in Carolina. And he can't. He can't. One, he doesn't have the confidence to do it. Two, ain't nothing there. He can't make it happen with what y'all giving him. I am pretty sure that team won't win more than 4 games this year. And that 4 games is probably going to be lucky. That 4 games is probably going to come from somebody else making mistakes. They're going to catch a team slipping, and that team going to have a bad day. I got to get up out of here, y'all. I think my wife, I can hear her calling my name. Like, she ain't really calling my name, but I can just feel it. I know she's hungry. Her stomach growling like, Shannon Sharp. Yes. Hey, look, y'all know PVMU, baby. Who you rooting for? Been tuning to the Sports Talk with Big Sarge show. I'm your host, Big Sarge. Make sure you follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter and Big Sarge Sports with the Z at the end. Make sure you follow me on the Tick and the Talk at Big Sarge Media. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, Big Sarge Media. Read all my articles at www.bigsargemedia.com. Hey. I got some content coming for y'all. Please follow me. Share it. What did I just say, Tick? I didn't say the Tick and the Talk. Follow me on the Tick and the Talk at Big Sarge Media. My bad. Hey, I got some content coming for y'all. Hey, listen. After the game, Will Anderson Jr. was sitting at his locker. After he had done all the interviews, myself and Jonathan M. Alexander went and talked to him. And then Jonathan left. So I'm sitting there talking to Will, still recording. I said, Will, man, you got blood on your undershirt. Does that mean you gave it your all? He looked at me. He said, Sarge, I'm glad you asked me that. He said, man, it's funny. He said, God works in mysterious ways, man. God just works in mysterious ways. Sarge, I'm glad you asked me the question. Now, if y'all want to find out what he said, y'all going to have to wait until I put out. Yeah. But if you're following me on the socials, I really do appreciate it. Let me say that right quick. I really do appreciate it. I do. If you come here and you listen to this show and you allow me to, you spend this time with me, I really do appreciate it. But now, y'all, I gotta go because I gotta update my LinkedIn because I heard that the Carolina Panthers probably gonna have a job opening at the quarterback position, and I'm gonna see if I can get it. Y'all know what they pay quarterbacks these days? Big Sarge, I'm out.
Hard work. Hard work. Hard work.